Sonia, excellent, elegant work as always. But your contributions are so many, but this is a little bit off this particular topic. It revolves your recent contributions regarding your book, just translated into English, The Alpha One Mission.
Oh, yeah.
And you talked about the spiritual world, spiritual city over Brazil. All right. Now, have you had any interaction, information regarding contact regarding the second spiritual city, which is over Europe, Romania, and Hungary? It's called Beta. The first one, there are two spiritual cities over Earth. One, you talked about the Alpha over Brazil. The second one is Beta over Hungary and Romania and Europe. Have you had any information regarding this contact, regarding the second spiritual city? There are two spiritual cities over Earth.
Thank you, Lynn.
In truth, Elaine, as far as I know, there are some 100 astral cities around Earth.
Okay.
Alpha was mentioned because it was from where they have all those people specialized in trying to contact the Earth, and it was our theme. But in truth, lots of other cities exist for treating those ones that just arrived in the other side. People let's give an example. Presently is dying lots of people due to COVID, right? So all these people, it has to be received in the other side. And Alpha is not a place for them to go because they are, let's say, specialized people to do another work, as you saw in the book. They have the mission of advancing science on Earth. So it is another mission, it is different. But the other cities are ready to receive those recently arrived people. And usually, as they are, for instance, presently, so many, as far as I know, they are, when they arrive in the other side, they are put to sleep because they will not understand what happened. And that some 1,000 people dying every day besides the normal quantity, right? So there are other astral cities that also make different, has different functions. And I haven't heard of this one that you mentioned, but possibly it is another with the other function as well.
Hey, Sonia, absolutely amazing what you do. I have more of a technical question, and that is that the images that we see typically that you put out there, are they being projected or reflected into the mist or to your egg, or is it just the mist that's giving us the pictures?
I didn't understand one word, but I think I understood what you said. So yes, I have been testing with the plastic egg, yes. And yes, I'm projecting static and the person that with whom I'm talking, so that it is inside the egg that they will work. And it sounds funny because it is a plastic egg. It is something, so it is to make chocolate eggs for Easter. But in truth, it is physics because of the format of the egg. The shape of the egg helps to maintain inside and to I don't know how to say that, to go and back and forth with the waves inside, so that it functions as reinforcement itself inside the egg. So it is something very simple, but it helps them because of the shape of the egg. So yes, I use projected static. And today I was preparing for a new experiment in which I will just use color. I will just try a focus, let's say, blue, a green, and a red magenta, so that to see if they can separate and create an image. And I will still make it possibly tomorrow.
Hi, Sonia. Thank you so much. Your presentation was amazing. I'm just curious also about how the images, how you capture them. You had mentioned about an egg, and I was curious if you're using the vapor also in front of the computer.
I don't know if you can see just behind. There is it is there where there is the egg. It is black, but I don't know if you can see. Yeah, and the vapor shower that comes with the shower, with the vapor over the egg. And here is the two projectors that I will project the photo or the image of whom I'm talking, and the other one with static to enrich the colors and so on. So, and there I also put in my cell phone. So I recorded with the cell phone, focused to the egg, focused
Okay.
in the egg. Okay, to
And are
see
you
what
able-
happens inside.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Elisa.
Amazing. Hi, it's so nice to see you.
I say the same to you.
Thank you. Okay, somebody may have asked my question, but just so I understand, on the experiment where you have a friend holding a photo of their loved one, you on your side are adding vapor and lights on your side while your friend holds the photo. Is that correct?
Yes, perfectly. Yeah, that is it. The person keeps holding the photo and that's all, right? And we are connected through Zoom. And then I will be projecting this photo and the conversation of the person in the egg. And then we will leave the vapor running. And that is the opportunity for them to reorganize that and create something different.
Okay.
Obviously, that I perceive that this is not done in our space-time, okay? They use a technology that is similar to what we know here as virtual reality, right? So that they have something like a copy. For instance, they are watching all of us now, and we are copied into in their side. So we are so real for them that they can walk around us, but in the copy, not in here. So whenever they change, they manipulated the vapor, they are doing this in their side, but it is automatically reflected in our side because it is just a copy. It can be copied here and go straight to the device.
Hi, Sonia. What I want to ask Sonia is Sonia, for each spirit, for every apparition or every trans image, does each spirit come at that moment to do it itself?
Well, a good question. Sincerely, I don't know. What I can tell you what is my intuition. Let's say what I see, not physically. Okay.
Right.
For instance, for you to have an idea, sometimes I think they have to show really something for me. Otherwise, I will not understand how the things work. So, for instance, once I saw the following. I was entering, I could see the steps of a building, but it was like this. When I was coming to the, let's say, 50th step, then it started raising from the floor a huge building that was something like 30 floors. It was a very huge building. And then I was just at the door and I could walk inside. So that is virtual reality. That is not true, but we could deal with that, you see? So I think that, yes, I think that the CCD ones are there mainly to help in the supplying the images of the past when they were child, which is very common for them to bring to us from things from the past. And I think that they are there to help this.
Certainly from the group of 30, that was what happened. I remembered, Sonia, that the group of 30 actually were present with Tesla at that time.
All right, so I was following Sonia's work with Sandra Champlain. She did a lot of promotion, so I followed a lot of her work. And something happened to me that I've always been in awe of. I had a little Bose speaker that was attached to like a computer, but it wasn't attached that time, and it started buzzing and buzzing. And so I took my cell phone out and I started talking and recording and asking my son in spirit if that indeed was him coming through. And during the little, few seconds of recording, his image appeared. And it wasn't just something that I saw. I shared it with my sister, his aunt, and she also saw him. So I just wanted to know if Sonia had any recommendations for what parents can do, when you don't have a lot of technology as far as up to date on equipment. What would she recommend that we can do at home to collect these images?
Look, you said that this happened in your cell phone?
On a speaker, I recorded with my cell phone onto a little speaker. And I saw his face.
Okay, so it wasn't cell phone. Well, I think that as apparently there are people waiting to talk to you. So Sandra, I think that you should give the opportunity for them to reach you as they are doing by themselves. So they did as it was possible, right? Just to call your attention, right? I just wonder if I think that image, in my point of view, is easier to reach than voice. Okay, so if I was you, I would try images initially. I can tell you something what you could do, could offer to them as some resource for them to manipulate, and also to inform them that you are ready and that you are interested in participating and helping them. So please write it to Lisa or to me, and then I'll give you some suggestions. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
for all
thank
your
you.
work.
Hi, Sonia. Thank you for an extraordinary presentation. I have a quick question. Have you done work with smartphones, cell phones, and getting EVPs? I know your work has included landlines and computer phones, but what kind of setup may have you done with a cell phone, and what were the results?
Well, I suppose you were talking about voices. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, voices, yes.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, voice is not our strong point, right? And I think that still they have more difficulty. But I think for starting, if you want to do something, I think that there are so many things that can be done. It is just sometimes to know how they work, and then you have your creations, right? For instance, well, now we cannot go out because of COVID, but something that I did sometimes was the following. When I used the cell phone, which is much easier, and there is, depending, I think that usually you possibly use Apple, so I don't understand the applications for Apple because I use Android, but anyway, it is, I think, all the same. So you can get in the shop for Apple and get the application for recording, right? Any recording, it is a recorder, okay? So, and sometimes I did this and it worked, it was interesting. I went to some restaurant, for instance, or to a place that was crowded and everybody talking. And then I used it to go in the middle of the tables, you know, with the recorder. Nobody was watching what I was doing. And then I was just with the cell phone and with all those people speaking. And then sometimes I put some question and then I walk around. So it is just to tell you that it is sometimes more the topic of trying to do something and the intuitions come, you know, because I think that the first thing is that the other side has to discover you. They have to know that you wanted to help them, that you wanted to do something for them, and then the intuition comes. For instance, you would need some sound source. That could be the restaurant, could be a party, or could be 2 or 3 radios turned on all together. So there are many things that you can do after you know how they work. For instance, in the case of sound, they need something playing in our space-time. Forget that part of light, which is more advanced, and let's see that we can start it in an easier way. So they need something easy for them to transform into reply. And in truth, any noise can be used. Obviously, some noises, some sounds are better than others. For instance, the first time that I discovered that this was the process, obviously happened casually. It was very long ago, something like 20 years ago. And then I was talking to some people, some friends in a presentation, and I was close to the louder speaker. And then when I passed it through with the microphone, it made that noise of, I don't know how to say in English, that makes, you know, that sounds because of the conflict of the microphone with the louder speaker. So when I listened casually to that moment, I perceived that in that, our voice said, I can miss you. They said, oh my God. So they used that sound for speaking to me, you see. And then in another moment, in another meeting, someone closed the door, and the door made that sound. And that sound was also used again. And in another opportunity, someone was holding some paper and was smashing the paper closer to the microphone, and that was used. So then you perceive that whatever you offer, they will be able to use. So if you use, let's say, a low sound, you speak with a low voice, okay? If it is a deep, it will speak like a deep voice. So that was why later on I started using human voice, because I stopped with the previous suggestion of using white noise, shower, all these things, because this shh has not the proper sound of a human voice. So I started using a human voice, but all break, and so I developed my ways. But summarizing, they need something in our space-time playing, some sound, right? So it is better if you can contact me, maybe we can suggest something simple that you can start, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the formal meeting. Keep your hand up, those people who've got their hands up. I just want to break the formal meeting because some people will have to leave and we have gone over time. So I'm wondering, Gary Langley, would you mind thanking Sonia for her presentation and for our talk today?
Sonia, I've been following your work for some time, and I find it absolutely fascinating. And I wish you Godspeed in your new developments as they come along, and really, really appreciate you coming to share with us today. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Sonia. So we'll take that as the formal part of the meeting over. So now we've gone into question time. How much time do you have, Sonia, to stick around?
The whole night.
I'm a bereaved parent, and I am particularly interested in the subject because I would like to be able to talk directly to my daughter without having to go through someone else. And I was a little interested in this new method of using light converted into sound. And my confusion is, you get the sound, and then it's converted into light, and then it's converted back into sound. Where is the light, and how long is the light beam? Is it a very short light beam, or is it thousands of miles long? I don't know. I just couldn't quite get that.
Well, if I understood your question, I think that it doesn't matter because light has the same speed all the time. So it doesn't matter if, for instance, one LED is here in my hand and the other in the corner. It will reach it at the same time, right? It is too fast. So initially, we put in a distance of some 80 centimeters. But now in the second version, it was much closer. And I made it the same question to the engineer. I said, isn't this too short for the light bridge, for the sound to go and come back? And he said, no, it will not matter. And so we tested and it worked. Now he is building the third version and correcting all the problems we had before in the two first ones. And let's see, I think that next week we'll be testing. And but I don't know if I replied your question. I think it doesn't matter the distance because light has the same speed all the time.
All right,
And it
I
don't matter.
so somehow on the other side, they're managing to access this this device, and somehow, you know, whichever is appropriate for them. And we're both using the light to convert into sound. I just thought that we were sending a light beam sort of into outer space or something, and that's not the case. I mean, when the light beam is not very long.
Well, I don't know if I understood,
No,
but I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. When we have say radio waves, they can go thousands of miles. Light beams can go a long way as well, but we're not going from one being on Earth to a being out in the atmosphere directly. It's some sort of a device that's I don't know whether I'm making myself clear, but I don't quite understand.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Let's see if it is this. In truth, you are thinking of, let's say, terrestrial distances.
Yes.
When you say of how long is the beam, how long is the sound wave, you are thinking of our space and let's say in our scale of measurements. But that is not what they do, because as far as what I understood, they work in the copy. This is a technology that will still appear on Earth many years ahead, but they can, let's say, they are copying me, okay? And now they can, for instance, talk to me in the copy, okay? It is just the same. And then they can talk to me and then I think that it's my idea, but they are not here. So whenever they are using the light, they are not working in our space-time. They are working there. And whenever they work in there, they change something, for instance, the vapor. When they shape in their space, not in our, it will be immediately changed in the computer. As I say, for instance, we have the vapor flowing, so it has no format here. And you can see anything here, but I'm recording. In their copy, they will be changing and let's say creating a format for that vapor in the copy, and this will be put in the computer. So it is a straight, let's say, possibly through wormholes. They send the image that is there to my computer, right? So it is not used in our space. I don't know if it was that what you asked.
Thank you.
My question briefly is, what help can we give spirit who comes to communicate with us? And I guess the other part is, what help could they give us?
Okay, okay, now I understood. It is the opposite, right? Okay, I think that there is one thing that happened last week that replies your question. I was testing with this new light thing, the light bridge and so on, and we put a similar question sometimes to Dr. Howdiv. What could we do to try better or to improve, and what should I do? And all the time he replied, record. And then how can we make it better for you? Record. So I perceived that he means that the most you record, it is how they can have the opportunity to adjust the equipment. So if you don't record, they don't do anything. So you have to be patient and insist. Even that sometimes, for instance, you say, oh, I don't have time today, but okay, if you have the compromise of recording, let's say twice a week, and there is one day that you don't want, but just turn on the equipment, because that is enough for them to start making adjustments, and mainly to know that you are there, that you care for them. So this connection is the most important. There is no device that substitutes the person, not as a mediumship or nothing of this, but the wish of helping them. This is important for them. They needed to count with persons serious, because their task is not easy. They also have to work a lot for making adjustments, for dealing with our primitive technology. So the way I understood that we can help them is recording.
Thank you, Sonia. Terrific. Sometimes I hear voices in the printer, when the printer's just printing, print and print and print, and it's saying something, and it's just over and over and over again. And a long time ago, when the kids were small, I used to hear, and I was very tired, I used to hear voices in the washing machine. Now, is this just me going crazy, or do you think something's happening there?
No, you are absolutely not crazy. Absolutely. No, you are a good medium. It is different. Look, I've heard of persons that could listen in the coffee machine when it is making that noise and could understand. And there was once, I think this is a good example. Once I went to Italy, and in the table with me, there was a medium, a lady, and the process that she used to get the information, the communication with the other side, was to get, I don't have a CD box, you know, that plastic box of CD, and she got a pen like this, and she used it to put closer to her ear and scratch. And in this noise, the spirits talked to her. And it was something very interesting, because she was in the public, just as me. And then she used it to do something like, who is the one who buried the son yesterday? And then someone, oh, it was me, dog. You see? So it was like that. So it happens that some mediums can, let's say, conduct the sound or the intention, or what they wanted to express through this sound. Some persons can also listen voices in the fan, you know, fan, you know,
Yeah.
hot. So, and sometimes other person says that when turn pages, that sound they can also identify some words. So we are absolutely not crazy. You are a good medium, and obviously that it is interesting for you if you pay attention and give attention, because they are, let's say, they wanted to communicate and you say, oh, I think I'm crazy. No, they want to say something. So you know, focus and think of them, and ask if they can speak better in the sound and in the wash machine or whatever. And if possible, you should also record. Use your cell phone. It is nowadays so easy. And then you can use precisely these sounds that they are used already, that you are, when you turn on your washing machine, record that sound and then listen to the recording and see if you can perceive the same words. Okay, so it is a train for you and for them as well.
Yeah. Can I
They
ask
are
you a
creative, you
technical
see.
question? If the photons of light are changing to particles, from the waves to the particle, is it possible that they're going from light to sound? Do you think very quickly? You know, because you're doing this, you know, and maybe
So,
it's that's where it
well,
is.
well, if I understood, yes, yes, and it is very simple. The the schematics for making for this device is very, very simple. There is at the internet. Now we are sophisticating, but it is something very simple. And yes, it is, let's say that people who deals with electronics and these, they play with these of converting sound into light and from light to sound again. So it is something very easy. There are lots of recipes at the internet. Now we are bettering to see if we help better them, but yeah, it is something that is possible, yes.
My question is, seems to me, I've read a lot about mediums using ectoplasm to create images and 3D, you know, entities, I guess you call them, from the other side. It seems to me like you're, in a way, in your misting experiments, creating a form of ectoplasm or a medium for them to use to appear to you. And the same with the sound. When you create kind of random noises, they're drawing upon those noises in order to create speech. Would you agree with those two analogies?
Yeah, yes. I think that the difference is that when you deal with ectoplasm, you depend on a medium. I don't know if that's your case, but it is a very special mediumship that has the ectoplasm, right? It is not a ordinary medium that has. So it is very specific. But yes, I think that what they do is, let's say, I wrote about this already. They are creating, let's say, artificial ectoplasm. Okay, it is technical ectoplasm. For instance, when it happened, that phenomenon that I mentioned with the caring, that I was recording through Zoom. I still have those images. It was published somewhere. So if you would like to see. And so Karen was covered all of a sudden with, let's say, with a shadow that looked like a vapor, looked like an ectoplasm. But that was not in her space, and it was in the other side. So in truth, it was artificial. It was technical. So yeah, I think your relation is correct. Yeah.
Good.
Except
Okay.
that we don't need this special medium, right?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I was just curious to know if a lot of devices that you've developed, if you've ever considered putting them on the market. The light devices sounds really fascinating, but I just don't have the technical know-how to even know where to go with that. So I was just curious if you've ever considered that to help with your research and funding your research. That's all.
Yes, Tessa, in truth, I think that what I use for me not necessarily would work today for other persons, because I see that it is a process that they are developing. And you see that it takes many years. For instance, since the phone call that was using possibly a very completely different process to now that they are using virtual reality. So they have to change, do it to the circumstances of Earth, right? And our possibilities and the possibilities of each person that decides to start experimenting. For instance, I may have some devices and you have another. So they have to adjust accordingly, right? So I think that what they are doing with me is to try to win all the barriers so that these can be perfectly adjusted. Because it is my impression, obviously I may be wrong, but I think that they are out of our space-time and out of our time. So if you, by the one hand, this may be fascinating, by the other, I think that when they make the adjustments, they have to control the time so that if they made a millimetric mistake, they will go to my neighbor, right? So it is something that when they put the head, as I mentioned, aside in Jehei's case, for instance, for God's sake, how can they be so precise? So it means that they have in control our room, not only in here, in that they were controlling in also in South Korea, as they were controlling when Karen was in Australia. And I never, up to date, have her address. I don't know where Karen lives, but they were there. So it is something that we cannot understand. But I think that they are adjusting and see doing this is better. No, it is not working. So let's try another way. And then that is why I really keep changing very, very frequently. And I think that they will come to a way of transmitting, but in the proper time. I think that they are for being closer of us on Earth, but in the proper time. And I think that this time is arriving.
And Tessa, please don't think it's the machine. It's also Sonia. You have to realize that in a lot of the ITC, the contribution on the development and the spiritual development of the experimenter is absolutely critical. If you read about ITC, always it's the spiritual development. This is what all the ITC experimenters say, and it's the love connection. What brings them to Sonia is that years and years of dedicated love and trust. So it's not just, even if somebody else had Sonia's equipment, they're not going to get the same results. Agree, Sonia?
Persons think that ITC evolves mediumship, and people think that I am a medium somehow. And I would say, no, that is not the quality that they search. They search something different. It is commitment, honesty, interest in helping, and you are a partner. They need partners. They don't need scientists because they don't understand of that technology, right? So it is not a type of mediumship, but these persons are very specific for them, because it is not everyone that will leave to go to the theater or to go to the cinema to work for them. So they need these persons, these characteristics, and then they will help all the way they can in your private life, and because it is a partner, they help us and you help them, right? So it is precisely as Wendy said, it is not the device, it is the person that after some years, they know that they can count on me, and I will not change my mind and say, oh, come on, now today, no, I don't want to do, I'm tired. No, it is by the opposite. The most I do, the most I think that I had to go on. And I tell you something, sometimes I regret that time is passing by and I'm getting old. And then you say, oh, but are you, I don't know how to say that word. No, it is because time is passing and I had so much to do. And how many years we still have? 20, 30? For God's sake, that is not enough. So I got so worried. I would like no, I would like to be here, but be productive, right? It is not, it is useless if you are here, but you cannot help them. But you see, so time is passing by and you think, oh my, I know that the day I go to the other side, I have my chair and my table ready for me, I hope. So I'll be hired, but I'll be employed, right? But I'd like so much to stay more, but there is nothing that we can do.
Hello, Sonia.
Hello.
I was just wondering if
my writer friend.
Yeah. Yes. And oh, you've done so much for me. I was just wondering whether an ordinary room humidifier would produce enough steam to experiment with, or how much steam is needed.
I use those ones. I think that you can see behind. That's no. That is an ordinary one. You can see that blue one. Yeah, there. It is ordinary. There is a face, by the way. If you, I don't know. Let's.
Yeah.
And it is nothing from us.
Okay. I see.
So, okay, it was already hearing something there.
Okay.
So, Sheila, ordinary one. But again, as I was mentioning to Tessa, at the moment that you say, okay, I'll use the steam, the vapor, and at the time we started thinking of them mainly in your sweet Jennifer, right? She'll be closer. She's already every day with you. But anyway, she'll be closer and she will contact the station and say, come on, I want to do something. And then you start, you know, uniting people from here on our side and the other side for making it happen. But it has to be an action from us, right? So yes, think of Jen, and I'm sure that she will know. She appeared so many times already, right?
Yes, yes, but and there are other people too.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hi, Sonia. How's
Hello.
it going? I'm Luis Sergio. I am leaving my wife. We are here in Belo Horizonte. You're in São Paulo, aren't you?
Ah, but I thought you were living in the US, weren't you?
No. We live in Belo Horizonte. I've heard so much about you that I'd like to meet you virtually a little bit. I've been following your work. Look, this is a book. One of the first books I bought from you. It's called The Contatos Interdimensionais.
Show the cover to people.
Yes, okay, it's here.
That is one of my first books.
So I imagine, Sonia, how much you've been through to reach the achievement you've been able to reach, right? And I needed to congratulate you and say that people like you, who are like-minded like us, we pray always, we include your name in group prayers or prayer groups to support your work, right? We know. And I'd like to ask you just one piece of question. I know it's difficult, but has anybody from the academia, universidade, has anybody been interested in your work to search or with an open mind to approach it somehow, someday?
Look, I'm running behind these people all my life, you know. all the time, including where is Sheila? She helped me some months ago, I think 3 or 4 months, because she's a writer and she deals with these forensic people, experts. And then I asked her if she could present me, introduce me to someone in this area who could study the results, the videos, and state something, a scientific statement. Now we have some money, which we didn't have before. So until 2 years ago, I didn't have anything. So I always maintained my research myself. All that I bought was from my pocket all the time. But 2 years ago, thank God, a girl called Amy in the United States started a Patreon for me. And then, for first time in my life, I have some money. And I'm very happy to say that I have been able now to help some persons in Brazil who helps me as volunteer for many years. And they never also received anything, and now they are not employed. You know how serious the things are here.
Of course,
And so I'm very happy that with this money I'm helping my friends as well. So now I have some money and I can pay perhaps for someone to analyze. But I would like to have people working with me all the time and not to beg, for God's sake. You know, it's always, you know, something that I'm a beggar behind these people. But I think that one day these will change. When I think that all these start sounding real, I think that it will happen the opposite. People will come behind me. Now I'm behind them, right? But let's see.
Okay, I don't want to linger it anymore, but I just want. Have you ever got in touch with people from Juiz de Fora because of those people who study NDEs, near-death experiences, and so on? Alexander, whatever, I forgot his name.
Alexander.
Okay, maybe.
Yes. When I was taking my mastership, I contacted Alexander, and he helped me with some suggestions for my thesis and so on. And I don't know if he knows about my work, because in truth, you may observe that I have been opening many different doors for different things. For instance, for him, particularly because he's a medical doctor, the part of my work that should interest him would be the communication of living people. This is an incredible area that is stopped because I don't have time. So Karen has been following closely my work, so she remember of this. We contact the persons that are not able to speak due to any sickness. They have brain damage, for instance, autistic persons with Alzheimer's, terminal patients, senile dementia. All these people can communicate through devices. I tested with them, and that was incredible because I think that I was always running behind, but never appeared the right person. I think that, for instance, let's suppose this work is not only with the sick people. The experiments work with healthy persons as well. So I made some experiments with living people, some friends who lives in the United States, and this doesn't matter the place they are, and they spoke the same way while sleeping, right? So all this area, I think that is so important for the medicals, doctors, so that they can help the patients that cannot communicate anymore, in coma, for instance. So all this is stopped by now.
Well, thank you so much, Sonia, for the explanation. Nice to meet you.
And I'll just jump in there, Louis, about academic scientific people. There have been instances that people have approached Sonia, but they are wanting to take Sonia's methods and do them themselves and bring it out as themselves, as opposed to being independent academic. So there's really, and you know, academia can be a very, very backstabbing, very tight sort of community. So she needs to, she's comfortable and is wanting to work in her way. And you know, if it comes out slowly and beautifully, then so be it. But Sonia is just unique.
Agreed. Agreed.
I would like to tell something that happened once in Zoom meeting like this that I was making with in Brazil with a spiritualist center in the Northeast, in João Pessoa. While we were talking, all of a sudden, my sound disappeared, and then with the public, let's say, just like now, okay? So my sound disappeared. I thought it was a problem, and the guy was still recording the Zoom meeting, and then after some minutes it came back, and then, my God, while this happened during the live, right? A voice that I suppose it was from Dr. Lando. This was in November last year. He said, "We got authorization, and now things will develop." That was in November. It was an announcement that was made in the middle of a meeting. And after that, things started changing and changing. And I see that definitively something new is happening, or is for happening, because they announced that they will be closer and closer, and this is happening since November, and this happened in a meeting here in Brazil. It was interesting.
Okay, so I wanted to know the role of prayer, if any, you know, in terms of contacting spirit, and if you've ever had any negative experiences, or is pretty much always positive.
You asked if sometimes I have the interference of bad spirits. Is that it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but also the role of prayer, like if I'm not asking you like personally about religion, but you know, because you're dealing with spirit, you know what I mean, some kind of prayer beforehand, if you know what I mean.
Ah,
I think she's talking about protection.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Yeah. So Janice, in truth, I think, well, this serves for me, okay? I am not recommending this for anyone. I think that persons, mainly who are starting, I think that it's better to stop a little bit and think and so on. In my case, I don't do that anymore because I do this every day from Sunday to Sunday. So I think the other side is sick and tired of me. I don't have to pray anything. And after, as Wendy said, and as I also said, in truth, after a certain time that you, let's say, you live it together with the other side so frequently, I think that this partnership is so automatic that nobody can reach my place, I'm sure, living or dead, I'm sure. Yeah, I think that I have the best surveillance service in the block, because I'm sure, yeah, it is true. I have some neighbors that had the house already assaulted, you say, robbed? Is that correct?
Robbed,
yes.
Robbed? Yeah, and mine, thank God, never. And I live with the door opened, I don't care, and that nothing happens. So I'm sure that this protection, yes, it is necessary, because maybe I would be also the goal of some bad spirits to disturb the what they are doing of good. So yeah, they protected me, yes, I'm sure. And never I had any problem with bad spirit. But it is important to say, we have been talking since the beginning today about the transmissions from stations, etc. But there are other ways that the spirits can communicate closer on Earth. So that's not my case anymore, because they are we made another track. But a person who is, for instance, has nothing to do and say, oh, I'll make I'll play of a recording, and then the person is mainly if it is a teenager or so, and will play for curiosity, and then a spirit that is around doing nothing, they can approach and and somehow interfere in the device. So these didn't come from a station, didn't come from high spirits that has this as a mission. No, it is someone that has nothing to do. So this type of a communication may happen. So this may happen, and they may say bad words. They can say, oh, we will die, things like that. But this is, they have no power for anything. So yeah. Sure.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up now,
Always.
folks. And we wish you all a good week.